Brett, I was on with Trey Gowdy on Sunday night, and he's in the opinion business. And I shared with him, I just don't think Kamala Harris has the minimum skill set necessary to be the president of the United States. Do you think that maybe the high water mark of her candidacy was the moment before she sat down with Dana Bash?
Morning, Hugh. I think the CNN interview did not help, and it does not seem like it is, I don't think it's crashing her polls, but it's also not increasing her polls. And I think that there is this leveling off, and even we're starting to see some drop in some of the swing states. I really think the moment is going to be September 10th and how that all goes on the debate, the ABC debate, and whether there is a second debate. We hope there is. And as I've told you, we're trying to negotiate to be considered for that one. Anyway, I do think that interview, did not help her at all and may have hurt her.
I agree with you, and I think there should be a second debate, and I think you ought to moderate it because you're fair. And I just think she's going to sink quickly because of these two bits of tape. This was from yesterday. Kamala Harris, number 1 in Detroit. Kamala Harris, number 2 in Pittsburgh. Let's play 17 first for Brett.
You better thank a union member for the 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
Cut number 18.
Member, but you better thank unions for that 5-day work week. Thank unions for sick leave. Thank unions for paid family leave. Thank unions for your vacation time.
So, Brett, aside from the union pitch, does the change in accent get through to any Americans of significance?
I think it makes people mad. I really do. I think if you ask in many polls what's most important, sometimes through the polls, like reading between the lines, it's authenticity. Authenticity is often the thing that I know where this person stands, and when they say something, I think that they're saying what they mean. This made people mad in the Hillary Clinton race when she went to black churches and put on a really thick Southern accent. It made people mad. And I don't know how that affects polls, but I do know that authenticity is a big factor in elections.
Now, the state I am probably most widely heard in, other than New Hampshire, where I blink at the state, is Pennsylvania, from Scranton and Wilkes-Barre to Philadelphia to Pittsburgh to Erie. I'm all over the Keystone State. Do you think voters in Pennsylvania believe her answer on fracking to Dana Bash?
I think it's confusing. When you say your values have not changed, but your policy has changed 180 degrees, that's confusing. And she said she explained it on the debate stage in 2020. But if you look at that debate stage and what exactly she said with Mike Pence, she said Joe Biden would not ban fracking. She didn't say Kamala Harris has changed her position and won't ban fracking. And I do think it's confusing, and I think that it's a vulnerability.
You're the second person to make that point this morning. Selena Zito was on last hour, and she said she has never spoken in her own voice about fracking, and that does not fly in Pennsylvania. And I think while they hope to put Georgia and North Carolina into play, I'm skeptical of that. But I am also very skeptical of her reach in Pennsylvania. Now, Fox News has a good polling effort underway. What do those numbers say about Pennsylvania right now?
Right now, it's tight, but I think there is a 2-point spread for the former president in Pennsylvania. And we're seeing, a match of 1-2 points all over the swing states, but it is just in recent days trended a little bit more towards the former president. I mean, right after the announcement of the switch, there was, across the board 2-point maybe lead for Vice President Harris, but that has shifted in recent days. So that's where I guess the air out of the balloon theory is coming from, and let alone Nate Silver, who's now at 11 points or something for the Electoral College towards the former president.
Now, I have followed very closely the Arlington National Cemetery controversy because I am familiar with the individual who is helping the Gold Star families put their message out. I have talked to Senator Cotton about it on the air. I think it's a Streisand effect moment that Team Kamala should never have called attention to this because, boy, did they get a right hook to the jaw from those families this weekend, Brett. Do you think most of America knows that?
Somebody on social media following, I think, knows it. And I think that some of those statements from those family members were devastating. I think, I understand the following the process and the rules and the law. But when the comeback from the family is, you never called me, you never talked to me, you never reached out to me after my son died, and it was your policy that killed him. That's tough.
Now, Brett, I know you don't criticize colleagues. I don't either. But I want to know how you would prepare to interview someone about that incident because my friend Kristen Welker made a serious misstatement with Tom Cotton when she said the vice president was at the dignified return of remains ceremony with Joe Biden. And she corrected herself, which is appropriate and professional. Yeah. And so she does do on air in the same hour. Would you have been prepared to answer that? Because, I when I first heard her say that, I thought, I didn't know that. But I just can't imagine not saying something like that unless you knew it for sure.
Yeah. I think that was a bold thing to say because obviously she wasn't there, and I'm happy that she corrected it. But it did. That's a tough thing in a question and answer. You've got to be able to, if you're going to push back with something, it's got to be something that obviously is locked in.
I have confirmed with Senator Cotton's team that he was 80% sure Kamala Harris wasn't there, but did not want to say so because he hadn't checked, which is the prudent thing to do. When you're not sure, you don't assert something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, John Carl did it with Tom Cotton, too, saying, that's not her position. And he said, she hasn't said that, And I think you're automatically in this pushback stage. And for some reason, some different folks are more so on protecting Kamala Harris. I think I'm always trying to play the devil's advocate, but when I'm doing that, I'm trying to lock in to make sure everything I'm saying is accurate.
Last question, Brett. I was with Trey Gowdy on Sunday night, and I stole from Abe Greenwald of commentary, but I want to credit him, and I did on Trey's show, and I'll do it right now. He said that in regards to Kamala Harris, quote, interviews are her kryptonite, close quote. I agree with that. Do you?
So far, they have not helped her at all, and her crutch is to fill in the blanks with words that don't help make the case. So, I find the back and forth on the debate really interesting. On the open mics, closed mics, I'm assuming it's going forward. It would be devastating if she held the line and said she's not going to do the debate if there's not open mics.
Oh, she's got to do it.
Yeah, she has to do it. So I do think we're not going to see a lot of her before September 10th, if I had to guess.
Is it David Muir? Is he doing the hosting?
He is. David Muir and I forget the woman, Rebecca. I forget the other person, but ABC, and I think that is a moment because Donald Trump, the former president, controls the destiny there, how he deals with it. If he stays above board, if he asks questions that he wishes David Muir would ask.